A lot of times in martial arts, what we do is we tense. We do something and we tense up. And what happens is that stops, and then I have to relax, and then I get to throw another one. So in a hard art, people flex. In a hard, soft art, people are relaxed to the point of impact, and they kind of tense everything together. On a softer art, what happens is you throw, and you only tense the very little parts that you need to create the power. The third one's the most efficient but hardest to learn. Now, what I mean glide is when you throw a technique, if you stretch your ligaments and tendons to the max, and then you let go, you'll see that this pops back. They're like rubber bands. Stretch, they come back. They stretch, they come back. They stretch, they come back. Which is what you want your body to do. Most people, what they do is they throw technique from muscle. They tense up and they force themselves to throw. But if you take your body and you feel how one goes to the next, to the next, to the next, you'll understand that every time you load, it wants to unload, which wants to load, which wants to unload. And it just continues the process, which makes the strikes continuous. What'll happen is when you do something like this, right? What I want to feel is how the body goes through this motion and then loads the body like this. And then naturally it's going to want to come back. So if I go here and here and here then here, every motion feeds the next motion. Now, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be something as simple as this, where I elbow and strike. Right? So I'm hitting one guy, I'm hitting the next. It doesn't matter. What happens is once I load, I want to unload, and that creates another load, which wants to unload, which is usually expansion contraction. If you'll notice this, what happens is I'm going to expand my chest as I hit through, and then it opens, it wants to shoot back. Then it's going to unload. Now that I've done this, this wants to come like this, which is how the body works. How you learn this is you want to do this slow to get the feel. Now, this isn't an actual fight. Like, the hits are going to be different when you're actually hitting someone for real. What you're just learning here is how to flow from motion to motion. Now keep in mind, this is just a drill, because if you actually hit this soft in a real fight, it's probably going to go badly for you. But I want you to see how it works. So look, I hit this way, and now I'm loaded this way. By nature, my body wants to unload. Now you see how I've stretched? Now it wants to come back. Then it wants to come back. Then it wants to come back. Now I've loaded this way. It wants to come like this, which wants to unload. There's like a rhythm in the body. If you feel, so you have to understand open and close. You also have to understand up and down. So you have ups and downs, and this way. And you have to start feeling, how does the body start loading and unloading so that each motion creates power on the next motion. Now, like I said, this is a drill. You want to play with this and get a feel for how one loads the next, which loads the next. But in real life, it won't be this fast. Why I say that is when you're doing this light, you're trying to feel how that body moves. So it's going to be faster. But when you hit somebody, it's going to be deeper. So right now, I'm just kind of touching them, right? Touch, 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 which allows me to flow nicely from technique to technique, which looks really good. A lot of people do demonstrations like this because it looks really cool, but it doesn't hit really hard. Remember, when you hit somebody, there's going to be a little pause on it for a second before it goes to the next one, because if you don't hold the shot for a fraction of a second, the energy doesn't transfer through. It'll just be like a light touch. So when you do this more real, there'll be a hit, and then you'll feel it, and then there'll be a hit, and then a hit, and then a hit, and there'll be like micro pauses between them versus just one continual flow from technique to technique to technique. So always start slow with something simple, right? Try and expand, and then try to contract. And try and expand and contract. Right? Everything you throw, you should try to feed the next one. Start with like 2. When you get good with 2, go to 3. 1, 2, 3. Then go to 4, and then work it around. And then it's important you start working your feet with it, so that you're not just standing there. You're doing this in a continuous motion to where you're always fighting and feeling how one feeds the next, which feeds the next, which feeds the next. And as you get better, maybe you get pads or something heavier, you start hitting a little deeper and feeling how deep you gotta hit and stay with that technique before you rush to the next technique. That is a problem with this, is people get excited and they wanna go so fast into the next technique. Often that first technique was very weak. It didn't do anything. Remember, you should never be in a rush to get to the next technique if the first technique didn't do anything. Why? You just wasted it. So go slow, feel how the body wants to go from one to the next, 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 without you trying to do too much. Right? It shouldn't feel like muscle. It should feel like it just glides. It naturally glides from position to position smoothly. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notify button. Please feel to share, and thank you guys for watching. It really helps the channel grow.